Welcome to Wholehearted, How to Stay Human in a Crazy World. I'm Gina Hendrickson. Each week, we explore simple, honest practices for living with courage, compassion, and clarity without losing ourselves along the way. So if you're tired of performing and just want to be real, you are in the right place. So far in this series, we've talked about two simple practices. First, don't add harm, and the second, add good. Now, both of those shape how we move through the world. But in today's episode, I want to talk about something deeper. I want to talk about courage. Courage. Not the dramatic kind, not skydiving or public heroics. No, the quieter kind. The courage to show up without pretending. You know, I think we live in a culture that quietly pressures us to perform, meaning to look strong, to sound certain, to hide what hurts, and to prove our worth. And over time, that pressure, it just becomes exhausting. Because pretending takes energy. Keeping up appearances takes energy. Projecting competence when you're overwhelmed, oh my gosh, so much energy. And eventually, the gap between who you are and who you're presenting becomes so heavy. Brené Brown, whose work deeply shaped this episode, talks about wholehearted living as requiring courage, compassion, and connection. And I'm just going to talk about one of those three, how she defines courage in such a simple way. It comes from the Latin word cor, meaning heart. Courage is telling the story of who you are, living the story of who you are with your whole heart. Not a polished version, not a filtered version, the real one. You know, here's what I've learned in my 62 years around the sun. Sometimes the bravest thing you can say is, I just don't know. Or to say, I'm tired. Or I need help. Or, man, that hurt. In a world that is obsessed with certainty and perfectionism and overfunctioning, honesty is disruptive, right? I'm going to say that again. Honesty is disruptive. Several years ago, I hit a wall. I was in a significant leadership role. I was busy, responsible, very capable. From the outside, man, everything looked fine. But inside, I was exhausted in mind, body, and spirit. I was burned out and just running on fumes. And what made it worse was the quiet belief that I should be able, to just handle it all. That admitting struggle would somehow diminish my credibility. But eventually I had to tell the truth. Not dramatically, but honestly. When asked by my colleagues and my boss, so how's it going, Gina? It really took unbelievable courage for me to honestly say, you know what? I'm not okay. I need rest. I need some space. And here's what surprised me. nothing fell apart. Nothing imploded in my life. In fact, something healthier began because pretending was costing me more than honesty ever did. So, courage, it doesn't always look bold. Sometimes it looks like just setting a healthy boundary. Sometimes it looks like declining an invitation to lead something or to work an extra shift or to do something. As a pastor, I like to call them my own holy no's. That's true. But maybe sometimes it looks like speaking up when silence would be easier. And sometimes it looks like staying in a hard conversation long enough to be real. One of my greatest life lessons is that courage is not about being fearless. It's not. It's about being honest. And there's even another layer to this. When we pretend, we disconnect. If I'm only showing you the polished version of Gina, you can only connect with that polished version. But when I show up honestly, limits, doubts, messy imperfections and all, that's where real connection begins. And most of us, I think, are hungry for real connection. Not impressive, not filtered, just real. I think too often we think courage is, it's always about adding something. More confidence, more boldness, more strength, more visibility. But sometimes courage is about subtracting. Subtracting the performance. Subtracting the image management. Subtracting the need to be impressive. And choosing instead to be, authentic. There is a beautiful, quiet strength in saying, this is where I am. Not where I wish I were, not where I think I should be, not where you think I should be, but where I actually am. And when we practice that kind of courage, something shifts. I think we feel lighter, less fragmented, more integrated, more whole, which, after all, is what this podcast series is all about, wholehearted living. So here's a gentle question for you. Where are you pretending? Where are you pretending? At your work? In a relationship? Online? Maybe even pretending with yourself? Where are you projecting strength instead of acknowledging reality? And what might change if you told one small, honest truth this week? Not oversharing, not dramatic confession, no. Just one honest sentence. I need help with this. I can't take that on right now, so it's a holy no for me. Or saying, that actually bothered me. Small courage, practiced consistently, changes a life. So here's your wholehearted practice this week. Tell one honest truth that you've been avoiding, just one. It might be to someone else, or it might simply be to yourself. Name your limit. Name your need. Name your feeling. Name your uncertainty. And notice what happens when you stop performing and start being present. Courage is not about being impressive. It is about being real. And we don't stay human by hardening. We stay human by telling the truth about who we are. Not perfectly, not loudly, but honestly. Well, just thanks so much for being here today. I'm grateful we are on this journey together. So until next time, stay human.